lost mine in the sand. Where will you stand?
Well, Hanok, once again, we're kind of in the middle of, well, where are we going here? So, from the Israel perspective, where are we going?
Okay. Well, we were allies of the United States of America for about 100 days,
Yeah.
shoulder to shoulder, wing to wing, until it ceased,
Hmm.
to the point where the United States has refused to give Israel a look at the Memorandum of Understanding.
Hmm.
Now, there have been several leaks
Hmm.
published, and it's clear that Israel is not mentioned in any one of the points, which is, the old cliche, what a difference a day makes, what a difference a week makes.
Yeah.
Um, a couple of conclusions we can draw right away. First of all, it is clear that America is not willing to fight. Trump just pulled out.
Yeah,
That's
I think that the underlying what I get from people that I talk to here is there's just not the stomach for this, and I think that there's a lot of dynamics going on. One is this continual trend towards socialism that is being pushed. Islamic influence is being pushed. But the other thing is that people are oblivious to the danger that is Islam,
yep.
that is Iran, that they don't see it as anything that is pertaining to them in any shape, manner, or form.
No. Um, the bizarre statements that range from day to day to day. A few weeks ago, it was, a civilization ends tonight.
Yeah.
Well, it didn't. Um, America's going to take Karj Island. And the reality is, the Trump administration was not willing to put any American boots on the ground. And you cannot win a war from air power alone.
Well, I
We
don't
in
think that.
Israel have,
Yeah, I think that the American public, for the most part, would have gone ballistic on that one if it would have happened.
bottom line, I mean, and we learned this in Israel 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Um, and even and it's since like people will say to me, what about Gadi Eisen, isn't he? Yeah, well, he was one of the architects of dismantling tank divisions in the IDF. This was one of his ideas.
Hmm.
So, obviously it hasn't worked out well. Iran is more emboldened and is stronger than ever before.
Now,
Although, although,
okay,
just let me finish,
explain.
Mike.
Go
Just let me
ahead.
finish this
Go
for a
ahead.
second. Although the deal is bad for Israel, it's a disaster for America, Americans' uh, projection around the world, and its Gulf allies.
Hmm.
Go right ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. So I agree with you in the principle of Iran is emboldened and stronger than ever
Yeah.
in their. Now, how would you explain that to somebody that says, well, we are told that 90% of their navy is gone, that all of these ballistic missiles, the nuclear dust that cannot be achieved or gotten out of the ground, how do I put those two together to a person that doesn't really understand, once again, the mindset of
Mhm.
Iran?
Well, it's not even the mindset. It's the sense that Iran was never a naval and air power.
Yeah,
Never. So to say, well, we've destroyed the Iranian Air Force, that's like beating up on Ecuador. I
yeah,
mean, really,
yeah.
it's not a big deal. Iranian's ballistic missile program is intact. Iranian funding of its proxies, of Hezbollah, of Hamas, of the Houthis, etc., remains as strong as ever. $25 billion of Iranian assets that are frozen are about to be released. Vance himself said a $300 billion fund, which is actually bully protection money that the Gulf states are going to be kicking in for Iran to rebuild. $300 billion,
Yeah.
not US taxpayer funds.
Yeah, and that was made very clear. JD Vance did the circuit yesterday, specifically on Fox News, and well, actually, he did The View, which, if I mean, some of that was just funny. I don't watch The View anyway, but it was hilarious, and he literally took those ladies to a place that they never thought about because he was masterful. He really was. But then he did a couple of other programs on Fox. He was very direct in saying that this was not American money that was going into this.
No,
Uh,
but
I
none of
get,
the, I'm
I
sorry.
guess what really gets me is, and the thing that is, I won't say frightening because we see things that are happening in front of us. We know projected outcomes due to our looking at our reading of scripture and prophecy. Israel stands in the end, but the relationship between Iran, China, and Russia appears to even have been strengthened during this
Oh,
time.
absolutely. There's no doubt about it. And if America isn't willing to stand up on the world stage, because this is a total surrender, America gets nothing out of this deal. Well, people say, well, the Straits of Hormuz are opening. The Straits of Hormuz were opened before an American plane crossed Iranian airspace.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not a big deal. The fact that the US military did not anticipate that happening, the fact that the US military is short on interceptor missiles, I got to tell you, the panic in the world right now has got to be in Taiwan.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
I
Now,
mean, this is scary.
I can tell you that it will be here's the victory for America. Gas prices are coming back down. And this country is in just a warped way tied to gas prices. It is beyond common sense that a penny in gas. I remember a guy years ago. I was visiting, and he said, "No, you can drive across to the other side of town and save a penny on a gallon of gas." And I'm like, okay, that with my gas tank, that's 25 cents maximum. That doesn't make any sense. But
I
this strange tie to gas prices. Uh,
it's yes,
yeah,
that's a piece of it.
yeah,
What we can call the three M's. One is markets, oil prices and fluctuation.
hmm
Two, the second M is munitions. Clearly, the Pentagon was unprepared.
yeah,
And the third M, midterm elections.
hmm
And what's fascinating to me, and again, I don't get into the weeds of American politics, although I have some interesting conclusions that I'll share when I'm in America over the next 2 months. Um, it's really intriguing that you got not only the Democrats and the left wing of the United States against this, but Vance as probably the head of the isolationist wing of the Republican Party. So you've got Vance on the one hand, and then you've got other Republicans like Huckabee or former Vice President Pence who are just saying, like, guys, this is a disaster. And again, we in Israel, like people say to me, why are you so happy and upbeat? It's because my understanding of the Tanakh and of the end of days is like being laid out right in front of me.
oh,
Whereas those people who wrote me these things saying, when are you going to step up and acknowledge that Trump is Koresh, Cyrus? When
yeah,
and the fact that it's Persia, don't you see? Like, what is it about you Jews that you're so, again, it's the blinders on.
yeah,
I got to tell you, I like I like when people give me advice. Like somebody just gave me advice just yesterday, said, you need to tell the audiences that you speak to, you need to quote from the book of Romans, where Paul is talking about the gratitude from the spiritual gifts of the Jews that, you share in the material, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, yeah, that sounds great. I'm sure that my PayPal account will just be overrun with donations.
Was
Just love
funny.
that.
What's funny is I may know you can confirm this after the program. I may know who you were talking to, and if I
I don't think
do,
so.
huh?
But okay,
Okay,
I don't think
okay.
so. But okay, we'll talk
Because
later. That's
if it
okay.
was somebody that I know, I'm the one that told them about those
Oh,
verses.
really?
Yeah,
That's funny.
that would be crazy.
That's funny.
So, so all right,
The planet. I'm
Iran
sorry.
has been has these proxies of Hezbollah,
Yeah.
Hamas, and the list goes on and on and on. What I'm trying to figure out is, would you say that Iran is the proxy of China or
No,
Russia or
no,
both, or
no.
because
Allies.
okay,
Allies.
allies, but it's like China is. I maybe I'm wrong about this. It seems that China is using Iran to kind of stay a little bit out of the picture, but in the supplying of munitions that they've been doing.
Um, they're selling them stuff. And of course, the Israeli Air Force took out much of it over the last number of weeks.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
but China is benefiting from this. But right now, in China, they must be jumping up and giving each other high fives, seeing how weak on the world stage America is. This is the strategic retreat of America. This is the beginning of the Massa movement.
Hmm,
Make America small again.
hmm.
This is this is this has repercussions that will reverberate for generations.
And
And again, we in Israel are going to be fine.
yeah, and the thing with Taiwan, yeah, I agree. The people in Taiwan should be looking at this and saying, we're done, because I don't see America getting into another war to protect a people that is perceived we have nothing to gain there, but Taiwan is a leader in microchips. I mean, people saw what happened during COVID when the microchip industry fell apart. You couldn't buy a car. You couldn't buy parts. You couldn't buy, there was so many things that were not
Yeah.
available at that time. So that really tends to shut down. So uh, the whole idea of Israel standing alone. Uh, Now we go to, you know, back to the idea when Israel said to Samuel, basically, well, we just want to be like other nations and have a king. Is what we're seeing right now? Is that Hashem forcing Israel to stand alone?
Yeah, I don't see it with the analogy of a king though.
Okay.
But this is definitely along the lines, and I have to tell you, this is what Rav Kahana taught us decades and decades ago. I mean, like I remind people that he was murdered in 1990.
Yeah.
So this is 36. So, my memories are from my teen years. And this is what, about Israel doing, we need to do what we need to do, regardless of the world opinion. Now, right days before the Six-Day War began, France, who were the exclusive suppliers of our Air Force, Mirage and Mystère fighter bombers. We had no American planes, 1967. They put us under an arms embargo. This is, and it's like, oh my God, what are we going to do? In the same way that this further accelerates our need to be as independent of the United States of America in all areas, but especially defense. And it will do, it'll provide the impetus for us to come up with technological solutions that don't exist today. One might be a new type of killer drone that will take out the FPV drones,
Yeah.
to really make that laser technology, which is not being used currently, not available, not working, not implemented, real. Now, through US pressure, they killed the Lavi fighter project decades ago. But maybe it means that Israel, now I haven't seen this in any periodical, maybe it means that we look to buy certain planes from Europe. I don't think anyone is thinking seriously of that. But the reality is the relationship with the United States has changed. I quoted Rav Kahana recently again and again when he said, there are no allies, there are only interests. Trump is determined that Israel is no longer siding with Israel is no longer in the interest of the United States of America. Now, it doesn't mean he doesn't like Israel.
Yeah.
Although I got to tell you, having grown up in the Bronx, I'm familiar with the language that he used. And even though I've never, ever, ever supported Bibi Netanyahu, he is still the elected prime minister of our country. And to have him spoken about that way on the world stage is disgraceful. And then Trump with the I don't know, maybe he's not. I don't think he's thinking of running again. Which is his way of saying, there's the door. Don't let it hit you in the behind on the way out.
Well, this comes to the basic fabric of civilization that we have, and I'm around this a lot more than I want to be. There used to be a day in which you showed respect to each other, to a person. Language has gone crazy. People that I'm around at times, especially guys I play golf with, I don't even think they realize what's coming out of their mouths.
Probably not.
The vulgar language of this country is overwhelming to me. The amount of disrespect. Okay, there's a way to talk between two people, communicate without going to that level, and somehow it's become this. Well, the worse language I use, the more powerful I sound, and that to me is totally the opposite.
That's a teenager's mentality.
Yeah, it is.
Really.
It really is. So this, what's happening, and then what we do see is that JD Vance, it appears, is being kind of put out there that for quite some time it was, who's going to be the lead here? Is it going to be Marco Rubio or is it going to be JD Vance? I don't know a lot about his life, but I was listening to him actually on an interview yesterday. And of course, his wife is Hindu. He was raised in, I guess, a Protestant religion. I'm thinking Baptist or something. I can't remember. But came back to what he said. I came back to faith, and that is now Catholicism. And so they're raising their children in a mixed marriage of Hindu Catholicism, but they're raising them as Christian. And Catholicism still has that leftover anti-Semitism. It's just inherent in the thread of the foundation of the religion.
Well, as do most, if not all, of the Protestant denominations as well.
Yeah, we agree with that. Yeah.
But listen, I saw the movie about J.D. Vance. What I find interesting, though, is it's Witkoff, Kushner, and Vance that have been publicly supportive of Trump. Hegseth, and I don't remember his name, but the head of the CIA, have been negative. Rubio has not been caught publicly going against the administration. So there are some people already speculating that Hegseth's days are numbered. I don't, listen, that's the kind of stuff. Meanwhile, we still have elections coming up here.
Yeah.
Now, from the original plan, that Trump was going to get the Israel Prize. He was going to come here, and this was going to publicly kick off Netanyahu's, in effect, re-election for year number 19, God forbid, as prime minister. Well, that's all changed, kids. And I got to tell you, don't ever expect a single house to go up in the Golan Heights in that place called Trump Heights, which, was never built anyway. But
Ramat Trump, yeah.
yeah, this is, it's just, the whole world is bizarre.
Yeah.
Netanyahu is plummeting in the polls because there isn't a single front, not one, where any of our goals have been reached. Not one. And it's interesting because I remember, gosh, it was a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, whatever, with this Trump Gaza thing, and people actually thought it was going to happen.
Yeah.
Trump talks. He just talks, guys. He just talks.
Well, I go back to a statement I've made over and over and over again, that President Trump is a businessman. He's not a biblical man. That's just a truth.
But he is signing a deal that is beyond the worst nightmare of any. And I have to tell you, and I keep seeing those little voices, the little tiny voices, not that I hear in the back of my head, but the little tiny voices on Facebook are like, well, don't count him out yet. He's just setting it. And it's this view that he's like Uber Trump. He's a super genius and is gonna wait. I gotta tell you, as soon as they pull out the US military assets, that's it, kids.
Well, the reason, and I'm going to go back to my statement again. The reason he is making this business deal is because he's not a biblical man, because he does not understand the consequences of making deals with Esau. I mean, it just comes down to that for me. Now, let's turn a corner. This week happens to be the Torah portion of the red heifer. And there's, blow up social media about a red heifer that had a tag in its ear. I actually talked about this a little bit on my program, that I feel that we should be, you and I have looked at the prophet. I find myself now, though I'm trying to read some other things in scripture, I keep going, just kind of being brought back to the prophets over and over and over again. So we need to be seeing what prophecy is, but at the same time, figure out how to walk on a daily basis.
That's the thing. That's the thing.
Red heifer.
Okay. So this past Monday, where are we? Wednesday, 2 days ago, Rosh Chodesh. Now, Rosh Chodesh Tammuz is 2 days, but we couldn't go up to the Har HaBayit, the Temple Mount, on Tuesday because it's the Muslim New Year.
Yeah.
So Monday was the only day. So my group, and the way it works, just for our listeners who are not familiar with it, when you go up with the Jewish groups, the police gather a certain number. How they determine that is still a mystery to me. But in our group, we had about 30, what, for lack of a better term, we'll call hilltop youth.
Oh, wow.
These are guys from communities, primarily in Shomron, Samaria, long payot. These guys were loud and vibrant and whatever. The precursors to the rebuilding of the Beit HaMikdash, the temple, the house of prayer for all nations, is going to come from the efforts of people like this.
Yeah.
And in a very tiny way, how I'm able to attach myself to this. I have some ideas. I'll talk about it when I see you. But that's what's changing the facts on the ground. I read an article published by the BBC talking about how in Israel they're talking about changing the status quo. We've changed it,
Yeah.
guys. Now, it doesn't mean after the next election, there's not going to be a big switcheroo. We've got a lot of issues in our society that we have to deal with. The para aduma, the red heifer, is not one of them. Whether it's got a tag, whether it doesn't have a tag, whether it's all the reality is, until we have full Jewish sovereignty on the Temple Mount, how many red cows we've got running around is irrelevant. Okay, more of an issue for me is I look at the IDF, which is a tremendous manpower shortage, and I happen to know, I know the statistic, there are 80,000 young Jewish men between the ages of 18 and 24 that are Haredi, ultra-Orthodox, and refuse to serve.
Yeah.
In those, okay, we also have a group, I don't have a number for you yet, of extreme leftist liberals in Tel Aviv who also don't serve. So this kind of stuff has got to be cleared up. I've studied our history too much. And I know with the Romans at the gates in the year 66, we had 3 factions in Jerusalem waging civil war against each other. 3 zealot type factions with the Romans at the gates. So we've got to get our act together. Hopefully, we'll have a new government that will work on that and provide leadership for us, as opposed to making whatever the expedient political deal internally is. By the way, for those of you wondering, so when is your election? We don't have a date yet. It's thought, well, they remember the early elections? So it may be moved from October 27th to October 20th. I'm sorry, that's 1 week. That's not early elections, kids. Come
Okay.
on.
Well, I mean, it is earlier. Of course, your elections, kind of like the festivals, they're either early or late. They're not on time.
And never on time.
Yeah.
Never on time. Never when we need them.
I one other subject, I was hearing someone talking about what's called in the term. You know me well enough to know that I terminology is something that just really bugs me. When someone is told specifically of wrong terminology and then continues to use that, is just that's beyond my I can't deal with that.
Thumbs down, off with their heads.
Yeah, Wailing Wall. Okay,
Oh,
it's not the
oh,
Wailing Wall, it's the Western Wall.
correct.
Um, the
It's
Wailing
not the
Wall,
Jews' dwelling place. No,
yeah, this was one of the most derogatory terms to what is going on there.
correct.
West Bank. Again, there's no reason for anyone to
No.
use the terms West Bank. The other one is,
Unless they're Jordanian. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, there's a number of them that I won't go into, but here's one that's out now is settler violence. That somehow there's a group of these youth, like, young people that like are up on the Har Bayit with you,
Right.
and they're going from the Har Bayit, and then they're going up to Judea and Samaria, and they're going into Arab towns and burning cars and things. Excuse me. I think that's what the so-called Palestinians do after they go to the Temple Mount, or while they're there. It hasn't been happening for a while, throwing rocks over on the Jews and others who are praying.
Right.
So this thing of settler violence, could you give some
Sure.
background to
A
that a
few
little bit
words.
more?
Okay. What happens in terms of the world media when eco-terrorism occurs, when fires are set throughout vineyards in Shomron? You experienced it yourself, Mike,
I
years
put them
ago.
out
Yeah.
twice.
When the Jews retaliate, that's settler violence. When people say, oh, this gang of 8 or 10, 12 Jews went into it. What did you find out? Did they stone that young family's car, the woman with the 3 kids in the back?
Yeah.
that doesn't count. But again, then when I found that every time that I go up to the Temple Mount, I'm listed among those settlers storming El-Aqsa. So this is, that's why when I put up my, minute on the Mount, I always like, still not storming. This is, I mean, so yeah, I don't, call me whatever you want, but the reality is we Jews are not that easy to mess with anymore.
Yeah,
And, it's, yeah, I could say some things, but
yeah.
again, I don't want to sound like President Trump, so I'm not going to say those words.
If somebody wants a very quick search, I'm thinking a couple of subjects they could type into a search engine. Number one would be Palestinian um, things that Palestinians have given to the world that are positive. That would be a pretty small. I don't think even AI could generate something for that one. The other one would be wars that Jews started.
Yeah,
AI would be going, excuse me, I have to, it's not available. To think that, this is the issue about going to Israel. Are there people, are there things that are happening that are wrong? Have Jews done some things in Judea, Samaria, or various places? My question is not that. It's why haven't they done more? The frustration. If you lived
I
in
agree.
a community
I agree.
and the neighboring community was every single night coming over and chopping your trees down and setting a fire to another house, how long would it be before you retaliated?
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that because we have an ongoing issue here in Modi'in. Modi'in, Israel's 18th largest city. From where my apartment is, I'm 2.5 kilometers from Shomron, Samaria,
Hmm.
right where I'm sitting right now. What they do is they burn garbage and, they burn plastics and other things, and all
Oh
this
yeah.
stuff comes here. This is an ongoing problem.
Hmm.
And our government does something about it. They don't do something about it because this is area controlled by the so-called Palestinian Authority. But it'll reach a certain point where, people will take this into their own hands. Now, Modi'in has the highest percentage in the country of those who draft into the army. This is not a small little town of 20 families. So, listen, you open the door to that and you don't know what's going to come through.
Well, I can tell people
Watch
from
yourself, man.
I can tell people from experience, when you talk about a fire, burning trash in so-called Palestinian areas, these people don't think at all about whatever they put in there. I have been close enough, the smell, the stench of that. It's like a tire fire. I mean, the
Yeah.
chemicals, the things that are, where's the environmental impact people when this stuff happens? Oh, and by the way, you probably didn't see this because you don't follow the Franklin, North Carolina news much, but
Only a couple of months out of the year. The
yeah,
rest of the
well,
time, I miss it. Sorry.
this year, while when you're here this time, we won't be able to go to the Mexican restaurant because they had a fire the other day. So
Not a problem.
yeah, but yeah, it was just, kind of one of those tragedies in Franklin. We don't get a lot of news like that here. So, and it just happened to be the Mexican restaurant that we take you to when we're
Well,
here. So, all right,
anyway,
well, what can a week bring? Uh, you know, I just don't see this coming week as boring.
well, supposedly on Friday, the details of the memorandum of understanding will be officially published.
Yeah.
Iran has been leaking it, other news sources, the Pakistan. Now the very fact that it's the Pakistanis and the Qataris that are behind this, um, bodes really poorly for America.
Yeah.
But, listen, it's, it is what it is. It is what it is.
I just beyond comprehension, Hanok, just total
Well,
beyond comprehension.
like someone said to me the other day, do I think that, tourism will now, take a jump up? It's not in my hands.
Yeah,
That's the thing that's amazing. I said, I think we spoke about this last week. You know, don't come to Israel for us. Come to Israel for you.
yeah, yeah.
But anyway,
Good times.
until next time,
You got it. Take
bat
care.
time, same bat channel.
Okay. See ya.
See you, Mike.